For August 19, 2024. We have a quorum present, all the commissioners are here. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So I say we have people waiting, so we can hold off on our approvals. We'll do those as time fits in later. So we'll come back to those. So let's just get started with the Eagle Scout project. Do you want to give us any updates you have from the last time, or do you have any to share with us?
I have a prepared statement.
Thank you.
Dear Commissioners, thank you for your diligence and time in considering the requested location of my Eagle Scout project. I have already learned a lot through this experience, and I appreciate everyone's consideration. Response to my project proposal has been 100% favorable on my end. Those who truly understand the impact and significance of the prisoners of war and those missing in action are exceptionally pleased to hear of my effort. I understand that there have been previous challenges or previous requests to place various memorials on the courthouse lawn, and I appreciate the challenges those requests have posed the commissioners in the past. However, I would like to emphasize that the Dubois County Commissioners have already thankfully and rightfully committed to the memory of our military service members who gave their lives in service to our country. Those service members listed as missing in action and their families deserve to be recognized and memorialized with as much dignity, recognition, and visibility as those incredible individuals who died for our freedom and whose names appear on the stone tablets currently in place on the courthouse lawn. Undoubtedly, our MIAs suffered the same fate as those confirmed fatalities, and they deserve the same treatment, recognition, permanence, and visibility right here in the heart of the county seat. I feel that I have addressed all concerns posed for this project. Regarding the color choice of the monument, a drive around the courthouse reveals many black contrasts in trim, like the pre-existing black streetlights and a nearby black fence. And I believe that the black granite monument will be an outstanding addition. Regarding your concerns about the timeline for the construction and completion of the project, I feel that I have explained that the actual physical project is quite simple and requires minimal man hours. If there are any remaining questions that I can answer, please let me know. Again, I am asking the commissioners to approve placing this memorial on the Dubois County Courthouse lawn. There is no better place to locate this symbol of freedom. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So over the last couple of weeks, I've done a lot of thinking about the project, talking to numerous people. So I brought up at our department head meeting as well, there were a couple of comments there that they said that they may have preferred it to be at Huntingburg, or they thought the courthouse property was congested. Another person said they thought elsewhere was better. So I did get a couple bits of feedback like that. A couple other folks said that it would be a great addition, that it looks like it's tastefully designed. And one of the other issues that was brought up was the glare potentially from the item, as depending on the location, but they've addressed that by saying, if you remember, we saw that there was one side that was polished and the other side.
We just have some layers.
So it looks like a matte finish. So the glare shouldn't be probably an issue. Yeah, I think when Sam was here 2 weeks ago, my initial thought was, I'll look into it. Then as I went through the early days of it, I had some communications back and forth with the family, and I think I probably went from, I'm not sure how I feel about this, it's probably something I'm not interested in. Then as I addressed my concerns, they gave me some feedback, explaining their position on my concerns. And I think the longer that I looked into it, the more I became favorable to the project in the current location. One of the things that I thought about was over the last, I guess since the time I've been a commissioner, I wanted Dubois County to be a veteran-friendly community. And I thought when we think of things that make our place a nicer place to live, that's just something I think we should do. We should honor and put forth any effort we can for veterans, and we've increased some of the staffing in the Veteran Service Office. They're doing more things. The Veteran Service Office put a veterans parking spot over here. The Veterans Memorial has been redone. I think we've done some things in the right direction, but I think this may be another step in that direction of showing respect, of showing Du Bois County as a place that is veterans friendly. And though I also do believe it would look good at these other locations, there is a good reason to have it here. This is a focal point for the community. And I can see why it makes sense to be here. The utilities have been looked at. It shouldn't be an issue with the footprint that it's going to have. They provided us with a Photoshop drawing, to give it an estimate of what it looks like and where it'll be. And I believe I've come to the point where I could be favorable to allowing it to happen. One final thing I asked them or told them was once it's installed, it will be a county-owned asset that they will, I'm sure our attorney will have something where they will gift it to the county. And if for some reason it has to move in the future, then I guess it just has to move in the future. Not that ever has happened with anything else, but if something happened, it would be a county asset. But I think those are all the issues that I really had. I had them addressed, and I think it's a good addition, and I've become okay with the location for it. So that's what I had. I'll pass it over to Commissioner Hofstadter.
I was favorable at the last meeting. I didn't want to make a rash decision and find out, 2 weeks later that a lot of people were opposed to it, and for whatever reason it may be. I'm kind of surprised that we don't already have something to honor our POWs, and I think it's an excellent fit for the square, and I am in support of doing it.
I think it's a wonderful monument. I'm not sure I'm in favor of putting it on the square. I did look at Huntingburg, I looked at Ferdinand, and I looked at the parklands. I think the parklands would be a wonderful fit for it. So that's just my thought.
Just want to say one thing about the parklands, if I may. We did talk to the Parks Department, just kind of looking at backup and contingencies and things like that, and parklands would have been the second choice.
Second choice.
Tom Wilson did advise that the parklands is very tightly controlled and already pretty much planned out, and he said that would be a challenge to try to do a project there. I think everything there has been pretty tightly controlled and planned already.
This is a 6-foot monument, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the other thing about placing it in Ferdinand or Huntingburg is that the beneficiary for my Eagle Scout project is Jasper's VFW Post 673.
Understand. Understood. So those are my thoughts.
Doesn't look like we have anybody really from the public other than we've got a couple other county employees here. Does anybody else have a comment on this issue before we vote or take action one way or the other?
Mike?
Okay. Well, so I guess it's that's the point where we're at. And again, both the elder, Mr. Osterman, and the younger, both of them have been great this week, or over the last 2 weeks. I've had a concern, not only have they just given me a yes or a no, they've really expanded on the rationale of why this is a good idea, why this is a good location. So I do appreciate that. And again, this is a well-done project, and it's much better presented than probably 90% of the ones that people bring to us for things. So your folks are doing a good job with you, it seems, and you're doing a good job everywhere. So I do appreciate and respect that. The effort that you put in is acknowledged, and we thank you. So that being the case, I'll talk with Brent here. So Brent, maybe, I don't know why I'm pointing out you other than you're an engineer and you're stuck with this kind of a thing. Is there any concerns that you have about this project if it is approved in that location? Anything we should be thinking about?
No, just making sure that the foundation is proper, make sure you have the proper design associated with it, and securing of the monument to the foundation. That's the only.
Who's the local contact that's going to help with that?
That would be Matt Kremp. He's one who has been helping us kind of step through the logistics of that. And as far as the granite fabricator, so I think I sent you the slides, just some examples of the work that he had done, including some monuments in Racine, Wisconsin, University of Arizona, so forth. So he's actually done something similar to this, where he did put a footer in place before they set the base. I think it was some cannons, military cannons that they put in place. So totally understanding that. I mean, he's been working tons of stone for 35 years. So.
And if Matt's doing it, we have a lot of experience with him, so I'm well satisfied that he'll do a high quality job. And when this work is done, would you have a ceremony? That's something
We
you
had discussed it. It's, if we do, it's not gonna be an official part of my Eagle Scout project. But we had discussed an opening or dedication ceremony yet.
It is possible. We'll see how the timeline goes, but Veterans Day is November 11th.
It'd be wonderful if we could, you don't want to necessarily take away from the Veterans Day ceremony, but you could probably maybe do it, whatever. Well, I think we should figure something out, but I think it is definitely something that needs to be celebrated.
And I think Mr. Ozer, he was here last time from the VFW. I think there is a ceremony, maybe late summer, a POWMIA ceremony. That's kind of his thing. So, I mean, there's a lot of options. Memorial Day as well, part of that ceremony. It could be an official unveiling, you know.
Okay, well, I think we've had our discussion. Anything further from the board? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and I'll make a motion that we allow the Eagle Scout project to proceed on the west side of the courthouse property. If you work in coordination with our highway engineer and our maintenance people to find the appropriate spot for it. So,
I'll second.
any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, and we will be in touch.
Thank you.
So please, I guess that would be my next ask, is just keep in communication with me so that we know when you'll be on site, and a little bit of the timeline. I know you've given me a preliminary timeline, but things change. So.
Yes, sir. And you said highway engineer and
Scott Hope is our maintenance. So yeah, I just think those guys would be they're the more qualified people than I would.
thank you very much.
But yeah, if you keep it through us on an email chain, and we'll get it going. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rose, you have a employee leave request.
Yes. So, we have an employee that, has got a medical situation in which they would normally qualify for FMLA for. However, they have exhausted their FMLA on another situation that they had going on. They have submitted their last PTO day available, effective August 9th of 2024. They are wanting to exercise in the handbook 4.7, the extended medical leave, which basically this is an employee who's exhausted all accrued leave, including leave under FMLA due to employee's illness, may request an extended leave of absence. The county commissioners may grant up to 12 weeks of unpaid absence without pay. So that's kind of where they're at with it. I've shared a little bit of the details that this employee wanted me to share with you guys, just so you had a little bit of background of the request. We won't go into that in detail, obviously, in the meeting today, but they are wanting to get to October 10th, 2024. That's the request. That's what the doctor says the return to work would be, which is equivalent about 9 weeks of unpaid time requested.
And the department head was favorable to the request as well, or you know?
It's going to put them. I did speak with them, and it is going to put them in a bit of a pinch for 2 months, but without someone in that position.
But the other option is to fire the person and hire someone else.
Correct, yeah, and this employee is well aware that this request, they're making a request in hopes that you guys approve it, and then if you don't, they are understanding that we would retro back to August 10th being their last day.
Remind me again how long they've been employed?
Ooh,
You know?
I do not know off the top of my head.
Okay.
No, I sure don't.
That's fine.
And you said until October,
The request is October 10th,
that'll be when the person returns?
return to work October 10th, which is around a 9-week request.
So the only other option for the department head would be to have a temporary employee fill that role.
Correct.
I mean, we deny the request and the employee gets let go, because they've exhausted their time and they can't work, or they, whatever, they're unable to. So the department head could replace them temporarily, or they would let them go and they would replace them permanently. And there's not a third option of the person saying, oh heck, I'll just come back to work anyway. I mean, they have a reason that they can't be there.
Correct. Yeah, medically, they cannot return to work, so that's not an option for them. I guess the other option would be, if we did separate employment, then if there was a position come available after they were well, they could apply and for any future openings as well. So
Is there any concern with prior to having a medical issue, the work performance of the person is fine as the vote?
I've never heard any issues there. So.
Mr. Hoster, you have a thought?
I assume they'll be able to perform the duties when they come back in October?
That's the assumption at this point. Yeah.
Yes. And then, let's see, if we give them that leave for those 12 weeks, how does that impact us on our insurance?
That's always a tough one because
Do they pay like Cobras from?
no, they would pay their same rate that they're. But from a standpoint, the medical asks, is this person actively employed? And not really, they're employed, but they're not actively working, which could hurt us on and stuff like that. And in the future scope, that's always been a concern of mine with this in the policy in the handbook, which is, I think it's typical for government, but it is though.
I think in the handbook, the time you're there working, you can either do 3 months or 6 months or there's something in the handbook about that, but I didn't read it.
In the plan document, on the insurance plan document, there is,
So I believe what you said in the email was they pay whatever their normal premium, which is 5% of the bill.
Correct.
The county's on the hook for the rest of it.
Over the next roughly 2 months.
If you approve it, you're letting them extend.
Mm-hmm.
And then what if they don't return to work?
Then we,
I guess when I came in here today from just what I've read, I just thought, well, kind of stinks to let somebody go, or or something that's not their, they're not trying this. It's not like they're
Right.
saying, hey, I just want to take a cruise for a couple months. Can you help me out with my lifestyle choices? They have something wrong with them. So that, on one hand, emotionally, I'm thinking, well, that stinks. I want to give this to them. On the other hand, I'm thinking our job is to make sure that the county runs, and we're putting a department in potentially a rough spot here because they can't do business. I mean, if we took an office that has limited staff and you get rid of some, we have them hired because they have a job to do. So somebody else is going to have to step up to do that job, or it's not going to get done. It's just tough. So we can look at it either way. Commissioner Stefano, did you have a comment?
I could see it both ways. We're in a tough spot here. Have you talked to the department head about this?
and they admit that that's going to put them in a little bit of a spot for 9 weeks, of being short-handed, in the position. But I spoke to the employee too about this, and going into this, they knew they were probably gonna be crossing this road because they knew they weren't gonna have FMLA protection from the use prior, with another situation they had.
I mean, it's not like they're going on vacation, I mean.
Correct.
they had a- You know, that they can't basically control.
Correct. Yep.
And the request was 12 weeks?
At 9.
9?
October 10th is roughly 9 weeks.
And is there any way we can approve them staying and they pay their full premium?
No.
No, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
They're employed, so they get paid. Well, I guess if I have to make a decision, that's what we're here for. I would say that my decision would be to approve the request. Commissioner Hostetter?
I think I voted against these in the past, and I don't think I would approve it.
Commissioner
I
Stefano?
think I'm okay with it. I mean, it's a medical issue, so.
I think in my opinion, I would separate and allow them rehire. You know, it wouldn't be a bad separation, which would make them rehirable, but then they would come back in.
So doing it that way gives the office holder the opportunity to refill the position if they need to immediately, or they can choose to wait.
Correct.
Is there a problem with doing it his way?
No issue at all. Yeah. So.
I don't like this decision.
I don't
I
like
don't like
it.
their, yeah. It's one of those
I
where both
see
of them are
your
bad.
point, but how
Yeah.
long is that gonna take,
I don't like
you know,
them, but
to leave and then rehire again? I mean, that process is gonna take. like
unless that there's no guarantee that they're gonna be able to return to this position
Yes.
in the 9 weeks.
And that's where the department comes in, is just how.
And then they're gonna be behind the 8 ball on hiring when they're starting in 9 weeks versus now.
I don't like making the decision, but I think I changed my mind. I think Commissioner Hostetter probably has a better point that in the interest of running county government, it's probably the best move to let the person go, let them be hireable again, and let the county operations continue. So okay. I guess I'll make a motion that we deny the request for the leave.
One second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marky.
Next up is highway folks. Do you have a lot to share with us today, or is it going to be a brief report?
Somewhat brief.
Mr. Bird, would you like to come up and go ahead and make your report? We have a few minutes here until you're up.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Good morning, Steve Berg with the Highway. On the dump truck replacement, I received approval to advertise and receive the funds of $95,000 for the dump truck replacement from the county council. They talked about taking it out of Cume Cap funds. The original plan had changed from what we were gonna do was to trade truck 212 in on the new single, but since we're gonna be doing it this way, we still have truck 212 to sell or move on. Since then, I had spoken with Cerise. She had called me. I believe the fairgrounds has an issue with the dump truck, and they're probably looking for one. So this might be a situation where the work that they plan on doing on their site is a whole lot less demanding than what we put our trucks through, so it would probably be a pretty good piece of equipment for them, so what we're looking at possibly doing is maybe discuss with the 4-H, with the commissioners and decide the future of that truck, if they feel that this could be something that the fairgrounds could utilize. Maybe they purchase it or however y'all wanna do it, but I think it would be
Regarding that, I think if you could try to get us a value, whoever, a local company that would buy it outright, what value would that be? And then we can decide if it's that way we'll have both answers, what 4-H can offer and the value we get from that and the value of selling it out. But I think I'd be okay with you continuing to work on that possibility. Does that sound good to the board?
Yeah.
Nope.
Next item, additional work. Mowing season is still here and keeping up with the weed growth has been challenging but successful. Our part-time mower operator has been working 32 hours a week this summer, which is a little fewer than the original that we had anticipated. So we do have some funds for him to continue to go on past Labor Day. My thought was, once we get the mowing complete, we're really behind on sign replacements. And we've got some funds left over. This person would be available for us maybe a couple days a week, 8 hours a day, to help with the sign replacements, to help get that going. It wouldn't require any additional funds outside of what we already have in place, but I would like to utilize this extra person to help get that done, because a lot of our signs are in rough condition and we just don't have the manpower to try to get that done. So I'm thinking that this could be an opportunity where we could do it a little bit better this fall. So.
Regarding the part-time mower, it would seem unusual to me that we would have approved 32 hours a week. What did we approve? We didn't approve 32 hours. What was the amount that we did?
I think we did 40, but I think with what he could draw, I think it worked better for 32 hours. So I think there was additional money in there that we didn't.
And as long as it's seasonal, we don't have to worry about any of the other issues that would come with an employee working that many hours. So I would think that the mowing is a county service that I think people appreciate, so I want to keep doing that as much as we can. I think that's one of the visible things that we do that people, it never gets done often enough. You know, it's one of those. So I would be in favor of keeping him around to continue that mowing myself. Anybody else have an issue with that? So we can continue that process, and if there's any HR issues, don't with your roads about it, but as far as doing it, if the funds are there, please do.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Just FYI, this Wednesday, we're conducting sticker audits with all of our sanitation sites. We bring them in and we physically count the stickers, count the cash that they've got, we're sure that we're balanced, and then we both sign off. We do this every year, so that if there is an issue, we can catch it sooner than later. So that's going to be done this Wednesday. Did get a call from Michael Costello. DNR has finally released the mining bonds that they hold on the mine, which is what was necessary to start the preparation of contract development for the reclamation work. Efforts are being made to move the ditches on both sides of the road as we had hoped. I believe they talked about a 20-foot wide, 21-foot wide roadway with stone and then a grass shoulder so far, but they're going to try to bring those ditches in to help satisfy our wishes as well as the landowners. So they're still getting that lined up, at least the bonds being released now offers them the chance to get a contract signed for the reclamation. So that's kind of where they're at here, so. There is an issue on the turnaround that we had planned on doing on County Road 750 West. I guess in order to make that, excuse me, in order to make that turnaround, it's going to require some additional property there. And we're just trying to find a good spot. I don't think anybody wants to give up any more property than they've already lost, which I understand, but we're still trying to make it suitable to where there is a turnaround. So I thought I would contact some of the landowners and just kind of speak with them a little bit and see if we can't get some sort of accommodation for vehicles to get turned around back there. So
Yeah, I'm not familiar with what you're talking about here. Is this this isn't the turnaround that, oh, this is the one that the road used to go through, now it doesn't go through.
Right.
I thought this was maybe something additional, so if there's already a turnaround there, it's just not.
there really is, you pull down to the dead end, and then I think it's a farm access for jackals to get into that property. But as far as a turnaround, the only place you would have would be that last home on the west side of the road before you get to the closure.
Mhm.
So can we shorten the road a little bit?
I don't know.
That's like a trade-off,
I don't know.
like move the cul-de-sac forward, trade them that piece of road.
I'll talk with him, yeah, there's gotta be some sort of.
That way they're not losing any property, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not part of the trade.
We back up and give them
Yeah.
300 square feet, they give us 300 square feet over here.
Right.
So we still probably have right of way, and the way it's probably written up is we probably have it straight through yet, even though there's no road there anymore.
yeah, it
We
hasn't
probably have
been.
to have that rewritten, but
Yeah, I don't think we've officially deadened that area outside of the fact it's just unusable. But yeah, I think as far as he still needs the road to get down to his field, but if we could make some sort of accommodation to get us, 30 foot on each side, something like that, just to be able to get like a school bus to turn around or something like that, so.
because the other option is people are gonna come to the end of that road and drive it as drive on property.
Yeah, so I thought I would try to reach out and help them get this done. It would accommodate the residents out there, I think, a little better to get something like that done.
Is there a turnaround required?
Need to have one.
I mean, I know it makes sense, but I didn't know if one was required.
I think that was part of our bargaining chip that we wanted one installed. So they would provide one, but we just gotta find the property. So.
Got it.
And the last one, I haven't heard back from this fella yet, but we did get a phone call from someone up around the Crystal area. I guess there's a road that goes back to the cemetery. It's a paved section, but I guess there's tree growth growing in, and they were wanting to know if the highway department would help mow those limbs and stuff back so people could get back through there. I did tell him that township trustees are usually the ones that take care or administer the funds for cemetery roads and that sort of thing. So I did ask him to speak with them and see what they could get worked out first, and then we get back with it. But I hadn't heard anything, so evidently something has to be worked out. I just wonder.
Is there county road going to it?
No, it comes directly off of State Road 56. It's probably 100 yards or so west of Crystal Road North.
So we would gladly take care of anything up to that point. But yeah, I mean, township trustees, that's part of their responsibility.
So I told him to.
I mean, that's one of the main ones that's left, that fire.
Yeah. Outside of that, that's all I've got.
And is it a rocker?
It's an asphalt paved. It goes up, or it goes in a big loop and runs through the cemetery. There's a north passage and then a little turn, and then it comes back south on the other side, so it's a big loop.
All right. Anything else for Mr. Bird from the board? All right, thanks, sir. Next up, we have Houchins Insurance. Okay, thank you. It's a whole folder of money savings.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you got through that, thank you.
Good morning, Max with Houchins Insurance Group. Really gonna have Kim talk through this. She's a vendor partner that we use called Thrive 365, and I think some good opportunities for some of your members and some of your employees and members on your health plan. But I'll kind of let her kick it off and go through everything. We were gonna project it on there, but it may be easier just to walk through the folder.
Yes, I have a Mac, which is not always easy to get connected. So in your folder, you have this little deck that we're gonna go through, and then some pricing sheets. So we'll quickly go through this and then leave time for Q&A. So our mission at Thrive is to help people that have type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, hypertension, get greater control over those conditions in a very natural way with food. The next 2 pages are some of our key team members. I'll point out 2 people that one you may know of and one you may not know of, but Dr. Richard Black is the lead inventor of Thrive. His name is on our patent. It was developed originally by Kraft Foods and tested and proven to help people lower their A1C. The division that developed Thrive spun off to Mondelez International, which was the snack food division of Kraft, and they never commercialized it because I think they figured if they did, they might be encouraging people to eat less of their products. So we were developing a platform called Diabetes Life Coach. We've been in healthcare technology for about 10 years. Our corporate office is in Louisville, Kentucky, and we were introduced to Thrive and we acquired it. Dr. Jerome Adams, former Surgeon General of the United States, is also on our advisory board. And just know that we are surrounded by a lot of very wise people, physicians, people that have been in the payer space and the self-insured employer space for a long time. And so great team of people around us. 1 out of 10 of us is living with type 2 diabetes, and 1 out of 3 of us is living with prediabetes. And a lot of people don't even know that they have prediabetes until they get to type 2. With type 2 and prediabetes and even hypertension, while we want you to follow your physician's orders if you're on medication or if you're seeing a certified diabetes care and education specialist, a nutritionist, we want you to do whatever your physician tells you to do. But 80% of the battle with type 2 and prediabetes really is the food. That is the medicine. We all probably need to take a few more steps every day, probably need to watch our portions every day, but the food really is the medicine. The next slide just talks about some health systems that are kind of adopting and embracing this food as medicine strategy, because people know that in the United States, and particularly, in the more rural areas of the United States, sometimes food can be a challenge. At Thrive 365, we did not create the science. We take the science that's been taught by the American Diabetes Association: eat fewer carbs, try to lower your sugar, try to drink more water. We didn't create the science, but we've created a tool that helps you in the moment in time when you're making food decisions, just make better choices. So what is Thrive and how does it work? Thrive is a scoring system that takes information about you, your height, your weight, your age, gender, a little bit about your activity level, takes all that information in and gives you a score that we want you to eat to 3 times a day, and then half that for your snack. A lot of people will say, is this like Weight Watchers? No, because Weight Watchers allows you to bank points to kind of eat, maybe one big meal during the day. When you're trying to stabilize your blood glucose levels and lower your A1C, the key is to kind of be eating consistently throughout the day. So we want you to eat to that score, try to stay in your green range at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then half that score for your snack. So the problem when people get the diagnosis of type 2 or prediabetes, they immediately have to start paying attention to the back of the food label. It can become overwhelming. There's complex calculations involved, and people can get discouraged and give up. So what we do at Thrive is we have a food database that has about 1 million grocery store items that you're going to find in North America. And we've scored menus for about 800 national chain restaurants that have 20 locations or more. So if you have a local pizza place or a Mexican restaurant, we're probably not going to have that if it's a onesie twosie, but you can find something comparable from some of these other restaurants and find out what the score of that food is. So now when you're at the grocery store or you're at home or you're in a restaurant, you know what your score is. You can quickly access our database, find the menu item, find the cereal that you're wanting at the grocery store, get the score for Jimmy Dean sausage out of your refrigerator, and start to build your meal, keeping your score in mind, accessing the scores of those food items. We did a pilot in February of 2023 with Baptist Health, which is the largest health system in our region, and successfully went through that pilot. They ended up contracting with us for their employees. They are a self-insured plan. And so since November of last year, their employees that have the diagnosis of type 2 prediabetes or hypertension have had access to Thrive. And we are now branching out to the Baptist Health Medical Group, which has about 450 physicians who will be referring Thrive to their patients. The science of Thrive is proven.
So there is no results yet from the Baptist Health
Yeah.
rollout?
There are some testimonials that I'll get to later in this. Yeah, good question. When Kraft originally tested Thrive, they found that within about 6 to 8 weeks, if someone had an A1C in excess of 7, it went down about 1.2, less than 7 went down about 0.4. I myself was pre-diabetes when we were beta testing Thrive, and during the beta test, I was able to see my own A1C come out of the pre-diabetes range, and happy to say I'm in the normal range now. What do people say about Thrive? The page that says proven adoption and some of the things the users quoted. Number one, they said it was simple to use. They felt empowered to use the tool because it was simple. They felt like their energy increased with about 2 to 3 days, because once you start stabilizing your blood glucose levels and your A1C starts to come down, it results in increased energy levels. They slept better and felt stronger. We had a gentleman up in Buffalo, New York, that had not been able to shovel his driveway with snow, get the snow off in about 4 years. Started using Thrive, and within about 8 weeks, he was able to shovel his driveway and his neighbor's driveway. So people definitely feel better. You will lose some weight. That's not our primary objective with Thrive. The primary objective is to get your blood glucose levels stabilized, lower the A1C, but weight loss is a byproduct of that. Under the testimonials, I won't read all of these, but just these are just a handful. But these are folks from Baptist Health and from other clients that have testified to how much better they feel. We had one woman who had tried everything in the world, couldn't get her blood glucose level stabilized, couldn't get her A1C lowered, went on Thrive and did lower her A1C. Just got a recent testimonial from Baptist of someone whose A1C was in excess of 12, and it's now in the 5.5 to 6 range. So you have to want to get well to get well. We always say that, it can be a psychological thing, but if you want to get well and engage with the tool, it will help. The financial impacts of reducing A1C, you guys probably know better than anybody. If we can get somebody who's on medicine, off medicine, or if we can get somebody in the pre-diabetes range that hasn't yet gotten to medicine, never get there, then there are huge financial savings. We are very much a companion solution. So if you are, implementing diabetes prevention strategies for your people on your health plan, we don't want you to change what you're doing that's working. We're just a complementary tool that kind of comes alongside those diabetes prevention strategies and gives people at the moment in time when they're at the grocery store or standing in line at a Panera Bread trying to decide what to eat, the tool that says, this is what my score is. These are the scores of the foods I love. What should I choose? It's a very simple launch. You can do it off cycle. Many of our clients do onboard or introduce Thrive in, throughout the year, not necessarily when your open enrollment or, new benefits are launching. So we can launch any month throughout the year. Takes about 3 weeks because we want to build a custom landing page where people are able to hit a link and then they see, this is from Du Bois County. We want your people on your health plan to know you love them, you care about them, you want to offer them helpful tools in their everyday life. So we really want to be on brand with how you communicate with your workforce. And so we'll build a custom landing page and we have email campaigns. People can opt in for texting. Once they come into our environment, we create community with incentive programs, opportunities for coaching if that is something they're interested in, and that's all part of the Thrive solution. And that is it in a nutshell. I'm going to be very respectful of your all's time. We do have pricing options per member per month, per employee per month, or per participant per month. I know that the folks at Houchins and Markey can probably do a deeper dive with you all on that, but if you have any questions for me and there's time, I would be happy to answer any questions that I can. And if I don't have the answer, I can find the answer and get it back to you. And thank you for the opportunity to come and present at this meeting.
You said better food choices help lower A1C, and I didn't catch it.
So the biggest thing that we find when people first, come into the solution is that they learn a lot about portion sizes. So let's say, for instance, your score is a 10 and you go to the Olive Garden and you like the spaghetti and meatballs, but that might be a 20. You can say, you know what, bring me half, box up half, in the back, and I will take it home and eat it for another meal. So it's kind of teaching the things that we all know, but it gives you this tool in your hand because you can download the app and have it on your phone, your tablet. You can use it, on a laptop, but it's just empowerment when you're standing at the grocery store and you're thinking, should I get Honey Nut Cheerios or Special K? Which one is better? Should I get lean sausage or regular sausage? Which one is better? So just kind of very practical in the moment tools for people to feel empowered to, again, know what their score is, try to eat to that green, if green, yellow, red. If you hit the red, don't worry about it. Next meal, just try to hit your green. If you do that, your A1C is going to lower. So, and I'm from experience. What other questions do you all have?
Yep, I don't think I have any questions. I saw the pricing here and the different options. I think I understand what's going on myself. Commissioner Hofstadter?
I don't have any questions.
All right.
Accept it?
Thank you so much. Appreciate you all.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it.
Anything else from Hopkins today?
No, not today. We'll be back probably in 2 or 4 weeks though. So with some numbers, we'll talk some stuff, but nothing yet.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
It's going home. Ms. Lee, you got anything for us today?
No, not today.
All right.
Not yet.
I mean, you got a big presentation or something?
We're gonna make
Put it on TV.
One of these days we're having breaking in.
Light show.
Get your feet wet.
This is what you've been missing. all
Get your
week.
feet wet.
Sir?
Brandon, I do have my steering committee packet here.
Do you? Okay.
Not gone through completely, but I have it.
I did bring up to Steve about that road out there, you did, as far as shortening it maybe,
Okay.
giving them a little bit back there, but he had said jackals have a lane to get into the field way in the back of it. We didn't know for sure where it was at, but he said we're gonna go out there and look at it, check it out.
I would assume that people would want to play ball with us because if they don't, we move the road back and be really inconvenient. Right, I mean, we don't want to play that way. Of course, we want to be partners, but I would hope that they would work well with us. They seem like
Right.
they will, they're reasonable.
Yes.
All right, where we at?
Okay, so I gave you guys a brochure for LTAP. There's not much to report on, but I just wanted to get it in front of you guys to show what we're up against, what we're working with, show the funds and everything else. It just mainly to review it. So Indiana LTAP did an in-depth study of our road systems for all the locals. Now, there's no state highways, no interstates involved with it. This is all the cities, towns, and counties, roads and bridges.
For DuBois County specifically or the state?
State. They have individuals started, they haven't gotten that specific data yet. But, so it's just showing you the annual trends of how much we invested, how everything is going. Sorry, I lost track of where I was at. So, as you can tell, our road conditions and where they stand, it's very basic, it's supposed to make so everybody, a normal person can sit down, look at this and read through it and understand. But on the bottom, you can tell the funding gap that we're kind of up against. Like I said, there's nothing we can do about this right now, but I wanted to get you in front of you guys. So if residents start saying, well, roads aren't as good as they used to be, they're not wrong, but inflation and everything else, we cannot stretch a dollar like we used to be able to. I mean, there's a serious funding gap going on here. So there's more coming out. This is just very basic, but this is information for you guys to read through and understand what we're up against. I think LTAP did a very good job with this, and it will help kind of explain what's going on in our industry right now. And then there's going to be a deep dive on how we're funded, and I think INDOT and everybody has looked into it for us, and it's starting. So you can understand what's going on. The next thing is just more of an update. So a gravel road dust control. We've been messing with this. Everybody wants to dust control it, and I get it, and we're looking at it. But so while I was in NACE conference this spring, we was in California. California is very eco-friendly. Everybody's looking at different ideas. I sat through a class, and there were different types and different options that were looked at. An asphalt-based product, which is what we currently do with our AET, similar thing. Then there was a chloride-based, which is salt, very corrosive, but it does have a lot of good, and a polymer-based. So of these three, the chloride, based product was the best, but clearly the most expensive and very corrosive on vehicles. Very hard on vehicles when you put that stuff down. It keeps dust control down, but it is corrosive. The asphalt-based product, which is what we currently do, is the second most expensive and performed actually the worst. Then there was a polymer-based product. This stuff is the least expensive, but performed very well. And they're also very eco-friendly product, which piqued my interest. After sitting through the class, there were two vendors there, and I went and talked to them, the Dust Pods and Permazyme. Went through, and I did actually get budgetary quotes from both of them, and Dust Pods was just a little bit cheaper, as you can see, per mile, $5,200, base $5,300. So they're very comparable in price. Since our chip seal season's done, we had a little bit extra money available, and I went ahead and ordered Dust Pod product. Roughly, it was $5,200 and change. I don't know if that's the exact amount in front of me. But what it is, it's a crystallized product that we're going to put in a tank of water. And was it 5,000 gallon tank, whatever we get for Kinesis. They go back to our tandem, mix it, and we're actually gonna spray it on the road, grade it in, mix it, and roll it tight. And we're gonna see how this stuff works.
So you're buying this product? They're not coming to apply it
Correct.
like.
That is correct. That's correct. So if we do our AEP product, if we do the same stretch of road, same width, it would be about $30,000 a month. So this stuff is a lot cheaper. We're hoping that we get some life on it, but we're gonna do it on 650 South between State Road 161 and 585 West, or by Holland area. Purely trial, but if somebody asks what we're doing, that's what's going on. It's a dust control product that we're gonna try and see how well it works. It's a good wide open area. It's already got the width. It's gonna be exposed to the sun as much as possible, so it's gonna take a beating. There's a lot of agricultural traffic, so we're thinking this is a good trial one. And the fact that we have the funds available, it's a great one to try. If it works, great. We have another option instead of doing maybe our chip seals because of the price. Maybe we can do this, and if we can keep the traffic, keep the public okay with this, it's another option for us.
What's chip seal cost a mile?
Chip seal costs a mile is roughly 18 to 20.
Yeah.
So how is the asphalt-based product 30,000 a mile?
Because it's so thick. Prime, we have to put it down a lot thicker and we mix it and blend it. It may be more than that, 18, maybe more than 18 a mile. I don't remember what it was. But it was, either way, this stuff is a considerable amount cheaper.
And
Maybe you're
what
wrong
is
with
the amount of time that something like this will
So
service needs?
salesmen were telling me, they say salesmen, they were telling me 10 years.
So it's good for 5 years.
Okay. So that's why I wanted to say that. I want to put it down and see how it does last. 650 is currently on the list to be chip sealed, and it's roughly 4 years out. So I figured if it lasts the whole time before we chip seal it, then we kind of have an idea of life. That's our reason behind it.
Anybody opposed?
No, I'm good.
All right, let's move on to bridge.
So
254.
254 San Diego West, we're currently constructing the south wall, got the footer poured, and the first 8-foot section of that wall complete. They should be backfilling that today, and then get the final section poured this week, and then we can start on the second. So my Labor Day goal is probably not going to get hit, but it'll be really close to that. It'll be a week or so off. The Samsara vehicle tracking, I know you asked me to contact Verizon. Max was off last week, so I didn't get a chance to talk to them, but I want to get that done this week.
So just gotta let it sit until the
Yeah,
next meeting.
just let it sit. All my stuff just updates, so you guys have anything for me?
I don't think so. Is that?
No.
Thanks, sir.
Where are you located?
You just want to do that?
I flipped this to where it's stapled and I'm like,
That isn't right.
that ain't right.
Well, my thought was if you look at it like this, and you flip it, then it should go like that, but it's all right.
I was giving you a hard time.
I know you are.
All
It was
right.
National Left-Handers Week last week,
I
wasn't
know.
it? Day last week.
Yeah. You guys don't understand the pain you go through.
I do, I'm married.
You have your own story.
I do, Brett, I'm married to one.
Nothing wrong.
We have the regular meeting minutes from the August 5th meeting. Anybody have any changes?
No change.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Get to that, it'll over your eyes.
Yeah.
We both of you have a chance to look at the county treasurer's monthly report and the clerk.
I confirm, yes.
Sir,
Okay. Payroll, anybody have changes on there?
no changes.
I'll move that we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, so we have the claims against the county. Any changes here? I'll move that we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Excuse me. Got a number of things to go through here, so I'm trying to get them done before our 9:45, unless somebody needs a break. Alright. So I say just for the board, I am pleased with the activities that Clark Dees has been doing the last 2 weeks on the regional sewer district project. Looks like something that I want to ask them about Camille with SRF. I guess we're gonna have a talk with them about the project, about some potential next steps, and to appreciate their renewed interest in our project. It looks like with them giving weekly updates, it keeps them motivated and it keeps us informed, so I'm pretty happy about that. I did have somebody call me and they've contacted, I'm sure they've contacted the highway department, they've contacted just about anyone that's involved with anything. They had a problem with the Hunter's Crossing area with the drainage over there. They said that they continue to do more development in the area, and everything, all the water continues to go towards the same area, and they were disappointed with the how it was engineered, I suppose, and that there are certain roads over there that I think the implication was that it was a lot of handshaking and, hey, you're okay, and they did a poor job with how it was designed according to this person. She has a family member that lives in the area, and it flooded over her property, and I guess the slab of their home, slab was saturated, and maybe it came in and ruined some of the house. This lady lives in Florida, but her family member here is in town. Basically, it says that Stellar turned the area into a nightmare, and that somebody needs to get their act together. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that somebody had called and was making a complaint. I told them that that's not our jurisdiction. I hate giving that as an answer to people, because when they call somebody from the government, they don't want to be pushed onto someone else. But we don't put in drainage ditches, and we don't, it's not our thing. But there was somebody that made a complaint there, and they brought it to the county's attention. Yes, it would be the city of Huntingburg. I mean, the city of Huntingburg, they don't have a engineer. According to this lady, I don't know what the truth is. They don't have an engineer, because Huntingburg doesn't have one on staff, so they use somebody else. And I guess she thinks things aren't going the way that she would have them go. Next up, Chad Trent contacted me from the Huntingburg Conservation Club. He's a board member over there. So if you recall, many years, 4 years ago or something along those lines, Brent, you may remember this better. So we made an agreement with them, and they were going to make an investment of a certain amount of money so that the road could be raised and the lake level could stay as high as they wanted. Is that accurate?
No,
What did they want? How did
they wanted to do that. But they put their dam over, their dam over the high, a DNR controlled dam. So we lowered the thing, and they created a big spillway structure, and we lowered it and created a smooth profile for the road on the dam.
So what did they pay for?
The spillway structure,
And why is that?
because that's controlling their lake. They wanted to keep a lake, and we
Oh, so their option would have been, they pay for this to control it, or they lose at least a big portion of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are on the hook for whatever amount of the loan that they took, and he had asked me, since they're a 501c3, is there any county grants, or are there any state grants, anything I know to help them pay for that? I guess they are. It's just a monthly expense, I don't know. And I said, there's not a county grant, and usually there's not gonna be a state grant that's retroactive. If you need something done, usually you apply and they help you get it done. It's not going to be a situation where it's already done, we're having a hard time with it and help us pay for it. But I did want to let you know that they are, again, another one of those, just FYI. Somebody had reached out to me, and
I think we researched grants before that project even started, and there wasn't anything there, so.
because we're choosing an option that's more expensive than it could have been, right? We could have put the road in cheaper without the stress. So that's that. Next up, there's at the department head meeting, we discussed this, and I handed out a copy of the rules. So we recently, as a board, set an ordinance that says that all of our contracts have to have certain language. So that's fine, that's one part of it. The other thing that the state did was they clarified that the county executive must execute or review every contract that the county goes through. So if, let's say the highway department, they wanted to buy a load of rock and the money's been approved, that's not a contract, that's the purchase of an item, not a big deal. But if they wanted to sign a contract where rock was going to be delivered every month for 2 years at a certain cost, that would be a contract that would need to have that language. And according to the state, the rules are such. I kind of tried to line them out so I didn't have to read this whole thing to you, and I know I've handed these out before. But number one, in that case, in that scenario, the highway department would submit the potential contract to the auditor. The auditor would then date stamp it and send it to the president of the board and the attorney. And then it says not later than 20 days after that, it says the county executive and the county attorney shall review the proposed contract. And then we either approve or disapprove the contract. If we disapprove it, there's a process. If we approve it, we just tell them, and then they have 10 days after that to give a copy of it to the auditor, so the auditor has a copy of it. So that's kind of the process. So it says here that in that case, the highway would have to give it to Greg and the county executive president, but otherwise, when it goes down there, it just says county executive. So I guess I wanted to clarify with this board how we want to handle it. Do we want every one of those contracts to come to Greg and I, and then I bring it to the board for the board to approve each of these? Or do you want Greg and I outside of the meetings to say it looks like a legitimate contract? So one of the concerns, on one hand, I'd like to bring it up that way everything is transparent and public and above board. One thing that's not good about it is somebody can turn it in, and sometimes there's more than 3 weeks between our meetings, depending on.
More than 2 weeks, yeah.
Or more than 2 weeks, right? So if we have a meeting on the 1st of the month and the 14th of the month, our next meeting may not be till the 5th or something of the next month. To me, the language isn't super clear. It says that I get it as the current sitting president, but then from there on, it doesn't say president, it just says county executive. So if you want me to bring them all to us as a board, we can. Otherwise, they'll review it, I'll review it, and we'll approve it.
Provide feedback to the department head or changes that need to be made, and if there are none, then to proceed with entering it and then passing it on to the auditor for uploading.
I'm okay with you guys reviewing it instead of bringing it to us. Instead of slowing down the process. I
I'm
mean,
kind of on the fence. I like everything to be public if possible. I mean, I trust both of your judgment, but it's not always going to be you two in the position either, so. Yeah, I think I'd prefer to come to the board. Unfortunately, that might put us in situations where we have to have a special meeting over there, but.
Like this, the only one that since the department head meeting that's come to us is they want to buy a copy machine, and every copy machine has a service agreement. And service agreement is a contract to purchase of the machine isn't. We have 20 other units that have that same purchase agreement, or that same contract on it. So do we want to hold them up for those weeks? I'm with you. I think I could go either way. It doesn't necessarily make me any difference.
if you feel that it's important enough to bring to us, then bring it to us.
I think there'll be some contracts that
Sure.
aren't going to be a run-of-the-mill type thing.
Right, absolutely.
Um,
But if it's
Again, I
important
can't
enough,
think of one off the top of my head. I mean, I can't think of an example, sorry. There are some that aren't. This service agreement that is with Hoosier Business, or a service agreement that's with Matrix that we've done 24 times since I've been around.
exactly.
There's not much input really on those. A lot of the grants that come down to the health department, same way, they're state grants. But again, everything that Brent brings in, we're going to review before the board. Will have been reviewed beforehand on the crossing grants. Again, it's just a matter of, I don't believe not coming to the board makes it non-public. I mean, they are uploaded to the what's your site?
Transparency portal?
Yes. the transparency portal. So they are accessible and we could reference them in the meetings that those had occurred. But, again,
Maybe
I guess we
that's
could
the
do that.
answer, just bring it to the, go ahead with it, but bring it to the meeting and,
Anybody opposed to putting that responsibility on the county attorney? Okay.
Sounds great to me, Greg.
So anything, Greg?
maybe I advocated for it. I don't know.
Yeah, anything Greg can approve over the course of between the meetings, we'll bring it up to the
Correct.
board. So I think that'll be fine. The only time that this will be a problem is if there's been some, I think like the assessor wanted to change something and I think I voted against doing it. The contract, I think you voted in favor of it. So if there'll be a rare one where I guess I would be opposed. But yeah, we'll make sure we report them. Good enough? Thank you. Okay. Let's see if we can continue going through these. So what time was the individual with the tax? What time was he potentially supposed to be there?
On the animal shelter.
If he would have came earlier when Mark was here, so I don't think he's coming.
Okay. Okay, this one will be hopefully brief. So when I was in front of the county council last week for our budget approval, one of the issues that we brought up was the Dogwood Animal Clinic. Are you familiar with where we are with this?
I'm not really
Okay. So the way it works currently, the sheriff's department finds a wild animal, loose dog or something, they would take it to Dogwood. Dogwood would hold them for several days, and then since 2012, the Humane Society would come and the animals that are adoptable would be taken over there, and they would do the same process they always do, try to find a suitable home for the animals. So what's happened recently, there have been some instances where if there were extra boarding nights, I think the county paid for the first, I don't remember if it was 4 or 5 nights, and then the Humane Society would pay for extra boarding nights after that if they couldn't take them in. Also, if one of the animals had flea and tick issues, the Humane Society was paying for those medications. So due to their funding situation, the Humane Society informed Dogwood on August 6th that they can no longer incur the charges for the extra nights of boarding or the flea and tick like they had in the past, and that and Dogwood thought it was reasonable, not for profit, that they don't receive any county money or anything like that. Long story short, I think the discussion we had with the county council, we have a budget in 24. Was it 4,500 or 5,000? I think it was $4,500. And so last year we spent 5,300, I think, so there had to be an additional appropriation, and this year it looks like we're set to do that. But I think what I'd like to do with the consent of the board is basically set up an agreement with Dogwood Animal Clinic that we would be okay with paying for up to 10 days and to pay for the flea and tick medication as it's been, as needed. And the council, they haven't finalized the budget, but they did say we increased that budget item to $10,000. Anybody opposed to doing that?
How many days do they keep them there?
In the past, they would have,
I'm thinking it's 3.
I thought it was more than that, but.
That's
Okay, the normal protocol is a 5-day stray hold for dogs dropped off by the sheriff's department. So what they did before 2012 was they would euthanize the dogs that were brought in after they weren't claimed after a couple days. So the process has improved if you're a person that likes dogs. Now they try to keep them alive, and all of them that are adoptable, they go out.
So we would be doubling 5 days, 10 days.
Well, the amount that's allowable. So they've only had 2 over the last year that were there for 5 extra nights. 4 dogs were here for 2 extra nights. 1 dog was here for 3 extra nights. So that's kind of the exception, rather than the rule.
Yeah. I just wonder if we double the allowable if they won't stay longer because they're able to stay longer.
I
I
think
mean, I
the
guess
way,
ultimately the line item's the line item, but that would be
I
one
think,
year that, you know, that he may decide it doesn't have to take them in 5 days, and they can wait and take them in 10 days.
the way I was looking at it and what my argument to the board was, this is so much cheaper than us having to have our own animal control building, have our own animal control staff, and at $10,000, we're still getting a good deal. I think it's meeting the need of the community at this time. So I guess that's where my argument was. Even if they did take advantage of it a little bit.
Yeah.
So is the board okay with me making an agreement with them? At least get something in writing so that we both know where we stand.
Yeah.
Then I'll bring it back to the board next time, whatever we came up with. Are you, Mrs. Utterback?
Yes, I am.
Please feel free to come up.
So let me explain that I went to the Strassen Fest for the first time on August the 3rd, and I was with a friend. We were walking directly to the courthouse to meet some other people, and this is the very first thing that I saw on the courthouse lawn. And I want to know if you all approve of having this display on the courthouse lawn. What is, I thought was a family festival with young children and family members of all ages, because, do you approve of this?
I have it here.
Yes, and what do you think of this being on the courthouse lawn during the Strassen Fest?
You can step back to the podium, please. So I explained to Ms. Utterbach on the phone, the way that this works is the county gives permission to the Strassen Fest Committee to allow 501c3s to use the property, that they go through an application process. The Strassen Fest Committee, and they select who can and cannot be here.
I understand that.
And so the way I looked at it was, yeah, I think that it could ultimately, if there was something that was something that we didn't approve of, that in the future we would say, we don't want these certain kind of displays on the property, or we're not granting the approval at all, then they would have to do something else with their stands. So the question, I believe, from Ms. Utterbach is that something that, can you just rephrase it? Or say,
Yes, I
is it
guess
something you think is acceptable?
do you believe this is appropriate at a family festival? I believe it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plastic uteri and 9 plastic fetus. In my opinion, this is not an appropriate place for this. I did not have any young children with me at the time, but if I had, I'm sure there would have been a lot of questions about what were these, what were they for, and tell me about them. And frankly, it was not the time and the place to discuss reproduction, in my opinion. So I guess my opinion, or my question is, and I spoke with Laura, I believe her name was Carnahan, and she
Great.
thought it was perfectly appropriate. And she even doubled down on it and started to question me about what I thought about the parade. And I'm like, the parade? What does the parade have to do with this? And she was like, well, there are Democrats and Republicans walking in the parade. And I said, I didn't see the parade. I don't care about the parade. I'm discussing this. And she thought this was appropriate. So if you have her as the person next year that chooses the displays for the Strassen Fest, I would suggest that there would be a discussion with her about what is appropriate at a family festival, because she believes that this is appropriate at a family festival. And she even described to me how she would explain when I said, what if you have a child ask about how this fetus gets in this plastic uterus. And she would say, I would just tell them what I would tell my children, Mommy and Daddy put it there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too simplistic. Have you never heard of in vitro fertilization? And maybe Daddy was a rapist. So let's don't go there. Let's just don't have this next year. I don't want to have to. And by the way, my friend that I was with had a uterine disease and had to have her uterus removed when she was 25 and is unable to have children at all. And this was upsetting to her to walk up and see this. And it was shocking to me. So my question, all I'm saying is if Laura does it next year, Laura's likely to have this next year, and I hope that you discuss it among yourselves and you decide where the final decision is made about who decides if you're going to have plastic uteri and plastic fetuses on the courthouse lawn. Thank you for your time.
So I guess if
Do
anybody
you have
wants.
any questions of me?
Not yet. I would say, so the question Ms. Utterbach has, was, we feel this is appropriate for the festival. If you want to answer, great. If you don't want to answer, that's fine too. I guess since you've called and talked to me, I thought about it. And I walked by and I noticed it. I walked on. And my child was up there. He's 12 years old at the time. So you asked if I think it's appropriate. And I think initially, when you brought it up, I thought, no, I can see how that could bother people. And my second thought is, I think that it's, I guess I don't find anything offensive about it myself after having considered it, giving it a few days of thought, because the gestational process, women being pregnant or women not being pregnant is not offensive to me. It would have bothered me had they come out to me and they were like, hey, here's my information, or here's something like that, or if they would have, but I chose to look at it, I chose to walk on. I love my community, and I didn't find that it was offensive to me after I checked my heart. So that's where I stand on it. Mr. Hofstadter, you have a comment or no?
I don't need to elaborate, but I do not find it offensive.
Okay.
I don't find it offensive either. I've been to the Trotter House, and spoke to them several times, helping families and things like that, but I didn't find it offensive, I'm sorry.
And I would say one final thing on it is, had I even found it offensive, that in and of itself wouldn't have me oppose it being here. The federal government has a process that people go through. I'm not trying to talk down to you. I know you know this already. I'm just saying it. There's a process to go through to be a 501c3, to be a nonprofit charitable organization. They've done that. Many of the other organizations around the square have done that as well. And they have a charitable purpose that has been approved. If I agree with it or I don't agree with it, I think that it's that in and of itself, even if I did find it disagreeable personally, wouldn't be a reason that I would kick it off the square.
Okay.
And one of the other things is there's things about, other people said, what about Du Bois County pride, right? Some people don't agree with the things that they do. And there's churches, and some people don't agree with what the churches do. It would be very difficult for me to go through and try to.
And my disagreement is not with the Trotter House. I have no disagreements with the Trotter House. My disagreement with, I just don't believe this is appropriate for a family festival. And I will never return to the Strassenfest when you have displays like this around. So that is all. It's like, I certainly have no problems with discussing reproduction with children. In fact, my 8-year-old daughter 2 years ago wanted to go to the body exhibit, which you may be familiar with. Have you been to that? It's an exhibit of plasticized human beings that has traveled all over the world. And I've been to it twice, and my 8-year-old granddaughter wanted to go to it. And she was very respectful and very interested, and certainly understood what we were looking at. However, there was a separate room which contained the fetus. and there were multiple fetus. And there was the sign saying that if this bothers you, or if you feel like your children are not old enough to view this, then this area. And this was in Houston. And Houston, Texas is about as conservative as you can get, yet still put the fetus in a separate area and did not have it where you just walked up and there they were right in front of you. So I just will not be back, and I appreciate your listening to me, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay. Oil on the road? Is that you, sir?
Mr. Schrader?
Can you say who you are and the purpose of your visit?
All on Road 820 East. Yes, it's on 820 East. The biggest mess I've ever seen. I had my new truck that day, and somebody would have said something, I would have never drove it that day. On 931, I got up to the farm. It's 950 south, 820 east. Around 7 o'clock that evening, 6:30, I was gonna leave. To go home, the road was one big mess. I had to drive 2 to 3 miles an hour. I still got my truck all full of stuff. There's no reason for that. Even when I talked to Mr. Berger about my pickup, he said it's protocol to all the roads like that. I got a question for Mr. Berger. Did anybody inspect the road before they hauled it?
Our road was oiled. We have somebody go out there to grade it and level everything off, get our contours where we need it, and then it gets sprayed.
Okay, now another question. How wet is it too wet to put all on a road like that? How much rain would you need the night before you wouldn't put all?
Well, we don't want water sitting on the road.
Well, there was plenty sitting on there in the morning when I went up. I mean, how much rain would you say if you had? Inch, half inch, 3/4 inch, 2 inches?
If the road drains off, it's not likely to soak in if it's been compacted.
So the oil that was put on the road, was that put on by county staff?
Mhm.
Okay, and the county staff has a history of doing this kind of work. This isn't a new
Yes.
product. And in the past, if there has been an inappropriate amount of water on the road, they don't do the job, right? They cut it, they go somewhere else.
Mhm.
So the water, in their judgment, the water that morning wasn't sufficient to stop the project.
No, if
What the potential issue is that once it was laid down, additional rain came later.
We had about 1/10 of an inch before I went out that day. But still, the road was wet yet, and they probably all, I don't know, I didn't go out and look at it. But we had 1.5 inch rain the night before. So you told me that all dries in an hour, right?
in most cases, yes.
No, that ain't what you said. You said it dries in an hour. So I guess you hauled that road after 4 o'clock that night. Or else it would have been dry by 6:30, wouldn't it?
According to what you're saying, yeah.
Okay. But it wasn't. The next day I drove my old pickup up there yet. Went in and it wasn't even dry yet the next morning. So I was at 7 o'clock. I cleaned it off again, left at 9 o'clock. I had to go someplace else. Same thing, it was full all again when I got out of there. So I said, to hell with it. I didn't take no more off again. I just left it on there on the old one. Why you put all
and not finish chip and seal in 5 days.
The product that was put down is a binder coat for the chip seal surface to stick to the base.
Yeah, well, it'd take 5 days to chip and seal the road though.
Mr. Schrader, if you're here to address the board, if you'll talk to the board, and you can, if necessary. So you're saying that it's done for 5 days after this day?
No.
Okay, understood.
To take the chip and seal 3/4 of a mile of road. 3 working days or 5 days? I'd like to know.
Well, I think you know the answer. Generally, it wouldn't take that long.
Generally, it wouldn't take that long, huh? Maybe we should just hire a different company to do it, probably all better off. Why can't they let the people on the road like that know when they're gonna do something like that?
My understanding is we do let people know.
Huh?
We do let people know. It's advertised at our meetings publicly that we have chip seal projects that are coming up in a certain area. And we also talk about them in a public meeting, and we put signs up the day of the event.
It's also
Put signs up the day of the event. Yeah, that don't do me a bit of good. If I'm on the farm already, ain't gotta leave and go home. You know what I'm saying?
I do, but I don't know how we can get that information to Dave Schrader, who isn't on that road. You don't own that property, do you?
No, my nephew.
Okay, so you don't even own the property, so even if we did.
If they would have told my nephew, they would have let me know about it.
But my point is, we do have these scheduled, and they are available to the public. We don't send mail to every individual about the road project.
Why can't they put at least a sign up the day before, we're gonna haul this road tomorrow? That's what I don't understand.
That's probably a reasonable request.
Why can't they do one lane at a time, otherwise it's gonna take 3 days or 5 days like that? Or why can't they all at 7 o'clock in the morning and chip and seal at 8 o'clock that day? Couple more questions.
If we do one lane at a time, that road's pretty hilly. Of course, what everybody's gonna do, they're gonna drive on the non-holy side, and there's gonna be a head-on collision. We don't wanna do that. And we know how people drive anymore on these roads. They probably go about 60 miles an hour on that road, don't they?
I don't know. I know one thing. I would have never given the extra access if I knew what's going on now. They would have had a 30-foot easement and no 50-foot easement. And that thing could have stayed rock or mud. It wouldn't have made me no different. It was a mud road when I got up there, part of it. And that's the way I wish I'd seen it now. The hell with the rest of the people. Okay. On 8/1, I pulled in the county garage at 6:50 to talk to Mr. Berg. There was 5 people standing in the garage in a circle doing nothing but talking. Why was that? And then on 8/2, there were 6 trucks on 820 East up there. At quarter late, let's see what time was it? Yeah, it was 8:45. 6 trucks sitting there to 11:15 weren't moved. I guess there were 6 people standing around 2.5 hours apiece, not doing nothing. Is that protocol too?
We had trouble with our distributor truck that day. I think 3 different lines blew all the way up there.
They went to the quarry that morning to get rock. Then when they got back, it was full of rock. We got a phone call that the distributor truck blew a line, an air line. They went, got it, came back, and then it ended up blowing another one. So it took a little length of time to get it fixed.
I'd say it took a little lengthy time. All I heard from
Mr. Berg and the insurance company was protocol, no answer, no solutions. In my opinion, the protocol sucks and they have no common sense. If they would have just said something, they would put it all down, I would have drove my old truck and wouldn't have had to drive my new one. Why? Why don't they say something? Because they don't care about us. It ain't just me. I talked to 5 other people that live on there and they were all pissed. Okay? Now, what are you gonna do about the rest of the road? Let it the way it is?
What's the plan for the rest of the road? What do you mean, on what in particular do you mean?
What they did, chip and seal. They just chip and seal parts, let the rest of it go. Are they gonna do anything to any of that or not?
Those were failed portions from the year before. We're trying to get it smoother and get the holes taken care of. A lot of those areas didn't have base, so we had failures.
Well, what about going up the hill there where it's on the north side where it's 8 out? You gonna do anything to that or just let that go so you mess it up another time? That's what I'd like to know.
They were supposed to be chip and seal those 2 spots. The grader got down just a little bit deep and graded it up. They are supposed to be chipping and sealing that. Or Durapatching that as soon as they get time.
It wasn't that, it's the north hill side coming all the way up into one lane. It's all laid out and stuff.
I saw that. I don't know what caused that, or,
I don't either.
but it will be Durapatched.
I think overall that I'm hearing your concern, and I can tell you that every inch of every road in the county is driven every year, and it gets a grade, and the goal of the Board of Commissioners and the goal of the Highway Department is to make us have the best roads in the state of Indiana that we can afford to have. And yes, the roads get used, they fail, they get damaged, and they work every day to make those happen. And I understand you feel we failed you in this department, in this area. And can we, if nothing else, can we get the notices out the day before so people like you make a decision and not go?
Yeah.
That's something we could, I think that's a reasonable request, and maybe we can start implementing.
Now, who's gonna pay $250 for my pickup, believe me?
Yes.
That's real good, you know what? You can have people standing around doing nothing. But I should pay, even though I pay taxes to them and stuff. Right?
So if you want, I'll give you my full opinion. When a person drives, myself, you, and anyone else on a public road, you take certain risks. A rock that could come up off the ground and dent your car, dust on your vehicle, oils, things like that happen. Your animal could run in front of you. The county can't pay for every risk that's inherent on driving on a public road. That's my opinion. And yes, does it suck for you? It does.
Yeah, it sucks good and problem.
And I mean, I've had things happen on roads that's been bad for me as well. I get it. I think that's about all I have to say about it. I mean, I think we do our best to serve you well, and I'm sorry that we feel like we failed you in this instance.
Oh, you feeling good and proper. I just let you know. The thing about it is, I just hope they come up with a little bit of common sense and not dumb stuff they always got going on, because everything's protocol, they say. But they never use any common sense out of the whole bunch out there. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else?
Nope.
All right, we have a community solutions contract. This is I guess this goes along with what we were talking about earlier. Have you looked at this? Have you had a chance to see it? Community Solutions is the group that works with our Justice Reinvestment Act team, and we try to, and these people help us with grants and with the justice program, basically. There's already funds that are in place for it. Community Solutions helped us for the first year in the amount of $100,000. This year it's down to 30, and our hope is that when we hire Brandy Quinn, she's learning from these people, learning the process that we probably would, I don't know, I think the goal is we won't need them in the future. Grant dollars did help, or did pay for these people to help with all the work that's been done, so I'm in favor of signing with, both of you on. Or do you have any questions on what that is? Because I know I'm in the middle of it, so I know it's clear to me, but I'm probably not as clear as I could be for both of you.
I believe I remember when I came into their presentation.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the agreement between Community Solutions Incorporated and Du Bois County JRAC.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So we've talked about the contract process. Did you have some surplus items for this week?
Yes,
Can you please
some
explain what those are?
mattresses at community corrections and a scanner at the recorder's office.
What kind of scanner are you on?
It's when it doesn't even work, I don't think. She found it in the cabinet.
Okay, so we've got a scanner and then the mattresses have been replaced for the community corrections people. That's already in process. They just need our permission to be rid of the old ones. I'll move that we approve declaring these items surplus and unneeded to be disposed of.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Anything you want to update us on the credit card policy? How's that going? That's still in process?
Well, we've made some changes and I've given them to Greg, so
I have it here.
Is it something that is in a forum we should discuss today, or?
no, we just gave them our changes.
What I'll do is I'll take the change, I have prepared a draft. I know that your department looked at it, there's some changes that need to be removed, maybe additions made. My plan will be to address all those and then send it back to the board and the auditor's office. And then it can be discussed maybe for final discussion or at our next meeting.
Anything else from the attorney for this?
Just are you gonna bring up the Hoover Business Machine Service Agreement?
So to go along with that, I guess they gave us consent, right, the board, the policy was that we could approve those and then bring them up to the next one.
Yeah.
So in this case,
It was here that, again, it's the example that was just provided, circuit court needs a copy, and that's a affirmative purchase. There's an email correspondence last week. They've added our contract terms to their service agreement. So if there's any discussion necessary, just to approve to go forward with it.
good?
Good.
Okay, so we have a
Consensus to
consent.
proceed with that, and then Sandy, can you talk to judge's office on that, or you want me to reach out to somebody?
Okay, I'm lost.
That's fine. That's not fine, actually, sorry. There's the service agreement to buy the new printer.
Oh, the copier.
Yes, for the Du Bois Circuit Court.
If your consensus is for them to proceed,
It is, yes.
then I can do that.
Very good, thank you.
Sorry, guys.
You're okay.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Schneider?
I did, the discussion I shared with Mr. Kleesner, the loan, it's in a resolution from the county regarding the loan to the airport authority. A draft, I received that on Friday. I'm reviewing that and I'll circulate it for our consideration. When's your next meeting, Mike?
September 23rd.
September 23rd. Okay. But again, it's contingent upon things being granted and things of that nature, so, but we can address it at that meeting. I presume that would be appropriate. So that's an update on that process.
You're sharing it as a FYI that we.
That is correct. No action to be taken right now.
But I'm saying even in the future, we don't have to approve it.
You do.
Well, I guess it'd be a contract, it'd be an agreement.
It's a loan agreement between the county.
So they start the process and then we would have to,
Correct. So we had done another project with them where we
yes.
issued them a line of credit, and it was a joint resolution between both bodies.
Okay.
Sorry, both county bodies as well as their board. So same process here.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything from the county auditor?
Yes. It's time to renew our Microsoft 365.
All right, I think we need it, so there's not much we can do about that, so. I'll move that we approve the Matrix integration, Microsoft 365 agreement and allow the auditor to sign on our behalf.
Second.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Anything else from the auditor?
We will be moving our Nimble storage. We approved that a couple months back. We're in the process of trying to find a good date. The 7 servers will be moved over, or not the 7 servers, but the storage servers will be moved over. We're gonna try to do it in an evening hour. Just, do you guys have any certain dates or times? Or just,
Whatever works
we
best.
wanna get it done, before October, or before the end of October. So we're working on
Mr. Stephenopoulos, anything to add?
No, sir, I don't.
Mr. Hostetter? Anything from, our esteemed audience? Okay, I guess we'll close the meeting.